Right, hello everybody, hope you're okay. Do a stream today. I wanted to do one yesterday and sort of ran out of time a bit yesterday because I got a couple of videos filmed and, other stuff I had to do. So I'm hoping today that because the notifications actually worked really well on the video yesterday where I asked people if they weren't getting notifications, that today maybe a load of people get onto this quite early. But we'll see. But yeah, all right, Big Mac. So yeah, I'd be interested today in finding out who gets notifications for this stream, who just randomly captures it on their front page or whatever. Because as said, it's quite interesting data I got yesterday. I'll actually go back to that and see what the results are now. It's it's been up for a bit longer, that thing I did. So if I go to it's community, isn't it? Yeah, right. I've had 315 votes now, so thank you to everybody that's voted because that's really useful. You got a notification today, that's good. But none of the time is 28% now, so that isn't going to be quite 100 people, but that might be like 70 odd people. All of the time 15%. Sometimes, now that's the interesting one to me, because it means sometimes YouTube sends them a notification, other times it doesn't, and it should in theory always be 100% one way or the other, depending if you've told it to give you notifications. Now the one, like I said, there's an 8% all of the time, but the videos don't interest me, and that's like, where obviously you'll get the thing of you get notifications all the time, but sometimes I do videos people don't want to watch, because I sometimes get that with other channels that, they're doing a video on a subject I don't immediately want to watch. But the fact that out of 315 people, let's say 150 odd of them who've answered only sometimes get a notification is a bit weird. Right, Rajiv? Right, Connor? I'm good, thank you. You got a notification today. You got a notification today. That's interesting, isn't it? So, yeah. That's interesting to know. I'm sure that's meant to be a guy in armour on the ROC thing. I got this shirt when I went to the bunker the other week. But yeah, so it's been really good, all the people who've given me feedback for that, because yeah, it's you didn't get a notification. All right, Max, that's interesting. But like I said, that's what it looks like. It's a mix from the poll is of the people who actually have got the notifications ticked to come on, because obviously if you haven't told it to give you notifications, then there's no point really answering that question. But the fact that, 50% of people are like, sometimes they get the notification, other times they don't, or they don't turn up on time, which is another thing a lot of people said in the comments, that, they only get notifications for the stream hours after I finish streaming. But then there was, a lot of people that were saying that, they either don't get notifications at all, which is far bigger than the people who get all the notifications. Yeah, Rajiv, that's the thing. At least you're getting something. Like for me, I don't know if I can show you this in mine. So if I go, so let me show you my notifications. Look, so I'm just making sure there's nothing dodgy on my phone before I hold it up. So if that's visible, you'll see, look, there's notifications there for videos. It's not focusing right, but you can see those are YouTube notifications, right? One of them is a channel I don't think I'm even subscribed to there. Some of them I am subscribed to. But then if I actually go to YouTube itself, only 2 of those are actual notifications. Because if I go to that, look, only the Forgotten Weapons video at the very top and a Lighthouse Horror, which is like a creepypasta type channel. Those are the only 2 that have shown up for notifications for me there. Although there's some that have classified as today, but again, that's like saying that's the weird thing is I get some on there that don't show up when they say they show up, if that makes sense. I can do a short on the VM37 at some point. That's another good point, Rajiv. Yeah, that certain things don't sync at the same time. Actually, if I go to my regular YouTube page now, as in youtube.com, and I click the notifications there, yeah, they're different. You're right. So yeah, the if I go to all my notifications, um, there's some that are marked as important. Now I don't know why some are marked as important. In theory, that should be ones I've ticked the bell for, but whatever. But yeah, so on my mobile, I actually get important notifications. On the PC, I don't. So that's interesting. So yeah, the Forgotten Weapons one, on my phone, it highlights it as important, but on the regular thing, on the desktop, it just shows it like an hour ago when it showed up. It's already buried under other things. Well, I suppose that's the problem, Rajiv, is if it catches up, but then it tells you at the time it's caught up that the notification was from 5 hours ago, that's a bit useless, isn't it, if it's a live stream? What, the MM1 mask? In theory, you can still find them for sale. I've seen a lot that are too expensive, but I've got a couple of them. You can get a K3 gas mask easily. I'd recommend it. They look quite cool. Right, I get you, Roger, but yeah. When you say horn, do you mean the voice diaphragm? Just literally so they can hear people better. Because parity in general, but yeah. I see what you mean, yeah. But yeah, if you mean horn as in the voice diaphragm, um, like the voice amplifier, literally that, because it makes it easier to hear people. Because basically every mask would be better with a voice diaphragm on it. I can't think of an example where a mask is worse for having a voice diaphragm. Even with civilian masks, it is helpful for you to be able to hear people more easily. So yeah, it's technically the GP5M. So yeah, if you look at that picture, if it's not over bright, look, there we go. You've got the regular GP5 or Shun 62 on the left and the GP5M on the right. There, it might be inverted on the screen. But yeah, the point was that the GP5M was just the one that essentially became the mass produced, although they still produced the GP5 all the way through to 91 or whenever it was. The GP5M became, more heavily produced as well, just because of the fact that it was more useful for more tasks. Right, Debbie? That's not a GP5 though with the horn, is it? Is he thinking of the old Zelensky command mask, whatever it is, the one where there's like a unicorn horn on it? Hang on. Zelensky command, the one with the big nose bit. Because if you're thinking of that one where it's got like a weird kind of clockwork orange looking nose on it, I think that's the exhale valve on that one. Yeah, if I remember right on that one, I'm pretty sure that's like an exhale valve, the weird looking nose horn thing on that one. And I think it works the same way as like one of those flutter valves that when the air pressure gets high enough, like a little pin, little small hole opens like a whoopee cushion. I know there's loads that have like weird horn things on the masks, but again, without looking through all of them conveniently, um, I'm just seeing if there's a C also on this, or similar masks. There's the TT4 as well, but that's pretty much the same design. The show. Oh, you're thinking of the show one, I think. Is it this one you're thinking of? Hang on, for the person. Oh yeah, yeah. You mean the ones where you push through and do that with it? Yeah. I'm not sure if that's the one he's thinking of or not. Yeah, helmet-style rubber mask with 2 round eyepieces and a finger horn, which allowed the user to insert a finger inside to wipe the lenses. Yeah, because the exhale valve on this one's probably... Oh yeah, it's got a flutter valve just literally behind the hose, so you can't see it in the picture very well. Again, that's one of those sort of things that died out as an idea because I guess people just made masks that were better at not fogging up to begin with. Do you like the Radiator Code 102? I like it a lot. Mine's over there, but then there's not much I can show off in here because I've got a bit of like uranium over there, the ore type stuff, but not anything exciting in this room. But yeah, what I'd be interested in seeing as well is if I have a load of videos in a row that YouTube notifies people of properly, if it will then start sharing the videos more. Because weirdly, but like I was saying, the shorts, again, let's say I have a look at some of the videos I uploaded recently in the shorts. Lots of the shorts from the last like month are over 3,000 views each, whereas lots of the full length videos I've done that are earlier than that are under 2,000 views on similar subjects. So say yeah, here's a good example. So the long video I did on the Swedish Type 33 gas mask, that's under 2,000 views from August the 16th. But for example, the bar mace video I did is at 3,600 views from like a week or so ago, and generally less people watch the videos on stuff like the maces and that than the gas masks. So it does seem like shorts are again the thing on YouTube at the moment I should just do more of, even though I will do longer videos as well. But it does seem like shorts are the ones that YouTube actually promotes a hell of a lot more at the moment. I don't know what that one is, but okay. I know what Eberlines are, or like the brand Eberline, whichever one it is, because they did a lot of the US ones, didn't they? And they've got ones that look really similar to like the CDV 700s, for example, but they're not actually the exact same model. But yeah, Biomace is heavy. But it can read, when you say 10M, do you mean 10 million CPM? As in 10 million counts per minute? So what would that be in counts per second? I guess divide by 60. 10 million divided by 60. So that's 166,666 counts per second. That is pretty impressive, actually. All right, Rich. Some of the information I got on the video I did yesterday was really useful. Nightshade, thank you very much. I appreciate that. What sort of videos do you enjoy then, Nightshade? Out of all the ones I do, or do you just like a mix of things? Let me actually have a look at the ASP one then. ASP one Eberline. That's actually quite a retro looking one for something that can go that high. It's designed for use with Eiger-Müller scintillation proportional detectors that measure alpha, beta, gamma, X-ray, neutron radiation. So I guess it's just one of those really sort of well-made, just rate meters that you could plug into various things. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the CDV 715 looking at that, and like the CDV 700, because it's that same sort of box type design, isn't it, where all the circuitry is on the back of the like front bit of the unit you lift up. Oh, thank you again as well. I need to view your channel again, Rich, and make sure I watch that video you did on the Saber. Oh, that's pretty cool, Rich. Weirdly, I was showing one of my friends the Stronghold like remaster demo today. Yeah, it's actually quite. I don't want it to look like I'm doing something else in my arm for that in the YouTube thumbnail. But, yeah, I suppose you could do a form of weightlifting, couldn't you, with that? Just putting a lanyard on your arm, doing that. But again, that wouldn't be very politically correct exercise, would it? Oh, the rain's coming down properly now. Don't know if you can hear that, but we were predicted rain for most of today, and it hadn't turned up, so it's finally turned up now. Yeah, unfortunately, lots of militaria type stuff run into that problem when you go onto international shipping, because you've got both just the regular thing of lots of countries don't like shipping anything military kind of things, you know, in luggage and stuff like that, and then you've got all like the ITAR stuff and whatever else. But yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping, Raj, if most of the rain hits us today like heavily, and then it's a dry day tomorrow, because I don't want loads of those sort of days, you know, where you get the kind of what's like the word for it, you know, where it's like rainy but not rainy. I'm going to redo the little not on that, but first undo that. Okay, so let's untangle the strap thing there. There we go. That's the entirety of that. Well, I don't know if I actually do want to maybe tie that around again. Don't know if it would actually make that bit of leather any stronger. Because, yeah, again, with bits of leather like that for the lanyard, that's the only problem with lanyards like that. You might be able to see it's already splitting a bit there. So as much as this looks like a really nice historical sort of lanyard, I wouldn't rely on this as a lanyard too much, the one that's included with it, just because of the fact, as I said, that, you know, that leather is going to, although it's actually tough for what it is, a little thing of leather, that is not going to hold up the weight of the bar mace all on its own. So it'll work as a lanyard to stop somebody pulling it off you, but if you try and lift the bar mace enough times with a lanyard, it's probably going to fall off and break your toes. All right, Peach. Got my weightlifting thing here, as I was saying, but I have to be careful about extending my arms on the thumbnail to you're a racist now, father, to test it. Oh, even if you get the MCU2P with the voice projection unit, is that the one you can take off of it? Because then you can put the same VPU, can't you, on like an M40 or something? Ah, cool. Yeah. Wow, I did the videos on these recently, like some of the you know, like medieval smashing weapons, so not too far from the crossbow. And like I said, I definitely want to buy Dowel swords. Well, like you could tow stuff with it, you mean? I was saying to Mike on his private chat, Rich, but I don't mind telling you this. Like I said, it's not anything interesting. It was just an idea for a video project. Is I reckon, although it wouldn't be the exact shape of this and as strong, I reckon if you know, you could get those metal fence posts that design, they're like kind of cross-shaped fence posts or 3-star sort of shaped fence posts, and they go to a spike, and the idea is that you spike them in the ground, you hammer them into the ground a certain distance, and then I think they're normally like for chain link fence and things like that, you know, where one of the bits has a hole somewhere in it, and you put the chain link fence through it. Post spikes, yeah, exactly, Peach. I reckon you could get a post spike as a DIY project if you found one really cheap or as scrap, and then like cut that down and like do a proper handle on it and make something like a bar mace. It wouldn't be as heavy, I don't think, as an actual bar mace, but you could, I reckon, a bit like you did the thing with the roofing hammer, do a similar thing. So I think that's a good idea for anybody what does the DIY type videos to keep an eye out for something like that to try and well, as in trying to get a Moz in what as a section 1, do you mean? Ah, right. Yeah, it'd be cool if you can get one, but yeah. So what is it? Customs, even though you've got all the documents, customs are being funny on it. I suppose at least they are aware that there's a firearm being imported. As like I said, I've not got any, obviously, Section 1s and Section 2s for obvious reasons. I've got Section 58 or whatever it is, a load of the obsolete calibers, which again, some of those are in perfectly fireable condition. So if you actually had the ammunition or, reloaded ammunition for them, you could shoot them. But obviously, then they need to be a Section 1 or a Section 2 if you're doing that, if that makes sense. All right, so I did a video regarding this the other day, actually, about people who sort of get notified or not notified. Yeah, like so. Yeah, it's a bit of a, like you said, a bit of a nightmare of all that stuff, isn't it? So you've got all the right paperwork, and they're still hanging on to it. Let me have a look at angle iron as well, Rich. So post spike fence and angle iron. See what they. Yeah, I was looking at angle irons weirdly yesterday, Rich. I didn't know that was their name, but yeah. Because I was thinking about, like you could use those, but yeah, angle iron's quite cheap, isn't it, in comparison? So yeah, like saying 2 bits of angle iron welded together. And as Peach says, yeah, like a post spike. And again, you just want a post spike that's the right sort of shape, don't you? One of like the kind of cross or triangular ones rather than the ones that just go up to a really big But yeah, I suppose at least with the post spikes, a lot of those actually get bigger near the end, don't they? So they would at least kind of have that bar mace profile, whereas the angle iron would be like a straight bar mace. But I still think both of those would be good for a DIY video for the people who sort of do those videos. See, that's again very interesting, Rich. So that definitely makes me think that YouTube promotes the shorts a lot more. That's what I suspected with YouTube a lot. It's like I said, my shorts, no matter what they are, get a lot more views in the same time frames than any of my normal videos. So my thoughts at the moment are, focus on doing a lot more shorts rather than regular videos. And when I've got a good subject for a long video, doing that anyway. So the people who are regularly subscribed might have to manually find it on my channel, but the people who just watch videos for shorts can find them that way. Yeah, like I said, I've been having a nightmare with that nightshade recently myself. Let me have a look. I don't know the site at all, Eds, or EDs, but I'll have a look now. So if I've not used them, I can't tell you. They're in the USA, so I won't have bought from them. I've only bought from a couple of US suppliers, just when they've had stuff in that's like where they could sell it, export it to the UK and still do it cheaper than, buying it domestically sort of thing. Right, looking at their website, the Polish MC1 is the price I'd expect it to be. PC50 gas mask, don't actually know what that is. I'm assuming that's a bit like an Avon M50. That looks kind of interesting. Or a C50. The M40s, again, I don't know what the regular price is in the US for those, but again, some of their prices look all right, some look a bit expensive, but I don't know what they're like in terms of shipping time and everything else. I've never bought from them, but there you go. Well, the CT12 is my personal favorite, as in I like it a lot. But I'll get it out because I've got it handy because I sometimes show it in videos. The most practical mask I actually like the most out of all my masks is probably this one. So pretty unassuming looking because it's not even a military mask. This is an Italian Spaziani, is it TR2002 or something's the name of it. And this is just a really good kind of generic civilian whatever sort of mask. You know, it's built for industry and whatever else. So 40mm bit there, so you can use it with any of the NATO filters. And it's literally just a really good panoramic ceiling mask. So you know, very good field of view on this one. And the people I've recommended this mask to have ended up getting them. So you can hear me a bit better, I'll take that off. The people I've recommended these to, like Weapon Collector and that, or I can't remember if I bought one for Weapon Collector as a present or if I recommended it to him. It's been a while now. I know all the people that, you know, essentially have got one of these under my recommendation anyway, have really liked them. Because again, it's not a military mask, but it's very toughly built. It's a very simple design. You get very good field of view. You know, it's comfortable rubber. Again, funnily enough, like I'm saying, this isn't necessarily a military mask, but I think this is a really bloody good design. Okay, so technically it probably would hold up to the same things, Ed Eads or whatever, but it's just that they give it a different name for a different market, I assume. And again, I think the strap things are meant to be quite easy to potentially take off as well. Oh yeah, so yeah, if you want to replace the straps on these as well, you can just literally take those bits off and put new clipping on straps like that. So yeah, again, it's got a really nice, easy to put on and take off, you know, kind of strap design there. Yeah, so just to put it on, I guess, put it to that. What was I saying? That I'm trying to do it on a video. It's a bit harder than it looks, but it is just a case, I believe, of am I trying to do it the wrong way around? That would be that way around, I think. Should, yeah, be a case of getting the wider bit of it and then pulling it down. I'm sure it must be that way. Yeah, it is that side facing it with the but again, it's probably just getting the angle of this is a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah, anyway, I'll do that when I'm not streaming and on the thing. What? When you say NATO desert mask, what do you mean by a NATO desert mask? Oh, there we go. It was actually easier to do it like not trying to do it properly, if you like, just doing it like that. Out of my personal collection, probably, in all honesty, probably like one of the Man Kung ones I had, like the later era Man Kung ones. You know, like the ones where they've got kind of that adjustable 20mm rail on them and that, but with like 105 lb sort of prod on it. I think I've probably got one configured like that, but you know, just so it's where it's easy enough to cock, you know, still easily enough force for what you'd probably want to use it for in that sort of scenario. It puts less wear and tear on the parts, and you know, it's accurate enough. A desktop review. Well, with my desktop, the desktop's there. That's not a desk behind me, by the way. That's an old bed frame. If you watch some really old videos, you'll actually see that as a proper bed behind me, but it's not the bed I use anymore. So basically, that's just the bed frame has been used to just store more and more and more stuff on it. If it's in yellow, that's not a Polish MP5. That's probably a French ARFA. And no, they're not very strong at all, though. So I wouldn't recommend running into a door of a French ARFA. Right, Russ Leader? Oh, right. Right. So both of those sound like newer Mankung things than when I had a Mankung and a Chase Wind, or whatever. So let me look up both of those now and see how they vary from the ones I've had years ago. Because I've really, since like Blades and Bows no longer exist, sadly, I've barely looked at crossbows because I used to just look at various bits on Blades and Bows sites and always check out the crossbows they had. Okay, so yeah, Crusader helmet with a gas mask on top of it. But right, so yeah, so let's have a look. Andau, isn't it, the company that does the Chase Wind crossbows? So Salinda, by the look of it, is just another name for that exact same Chinese crossbow, which isn't weird because a lot of companies do that. Or, you know, they call them like Armex or whatever. So, yeah, that's the one I had as a Jandao Chase Wind, I believe. That's probably a bit better than the one I had. I'd probably also recommend it just in black because where I've got the one in camo, that camo sort of wrap on it's like not like done from the factory. It's kind of like where they've camo wrapped it in the factory, so that's kind of a bit sticky sometimes. But yeah, the Chase Wind is very good for what it is, but I had a lot of problems when I first had the Chase Wind getting it not to break bolts. Like it had this weird thing where it would like break bolts a lot, and I don't know what it was because after a while, when I got really annoyed with it, it eventually stopped and like the bolts shot really well from it. I would go for £90 in all honesty. You're going to enjoy shooting it a lot more than £90. Let me look up the Mankung crossbows as well, because like I said, I've not looked up those in ages, so they might be way better than the ones I used to have. Mankung.com, let's just go to their official website. Because they still do, the funny thing of Mankung is they still do a lot of like the really retro designs as well. Like you'd think with a company like that, they'd stop doing some of their older designs and phase them out, but no, they still do ones that look like the first ever crossbow I had. Yeah, with the very basic kind of iron sight on, you know, like the wooden stock or the like plastic stock or the skeleton stock. Yeah, mine was a skeleton stock, I think, wasn't it, when my first ever crossbow? Anyway, so what did you say the Mankung one was called that you were after? A hound or something? Let's have a look. Find the right tab. That's all right, Russ Leader. Like I said, I was going off anyway, so you were just probably sending messages to nobody that was online. Ah, yeah, that's probably exactly it, Rich. Yeah. It was probably a case of me taking them off and putting them on enough times where I actually got the, like, you know, equilibrium between the two rims. Rims, not limbs. I've still got the ECBA. Is the ECBA in this room? Yes, there you go. There's an ECBA. I might need to give the liner a bit of a wash because I've had it sitting around for ages, so the liner's got a bit dusty and like grubby in places. But I'd obviously have to take all the Kevlar and that out before I put it in a washing machine. But yes, I still have my ECBA. Oh, thank you very much, Tools and Targets. Cheers, I really appreciate that. But yeah, anyway, what was yeah, I think it's probably Nightshade what Rich was saying, that it's because it's two separate limbs on that one, not one limb that you get roughly in the middle, you know, then tighten. It was probably a case of one limb being tighter than the other, so it was, you know, weirdly sending the bolts out at an angle. So yeah, where did it say the other crossbow you're on about? Mankung Hound. Mankung Hound Picatinny on top. Oh no, Picatinny on top isn't the name of the crossbow. Oh yeah, Hound, I see it. Right, the one that's in £175, I would say you probably don't want a crossbow as powerful as £175. I like the look of that crossbow a lot. With like, has it got a telescopic stock on it and everything? That looks like quite a nice design. But the thing, like I was saying, is you probably don't want one in that draw weight. What you ideally want is a crossbow in lower draw weight than that, because £100, unless you're hunting hogs or something, which you can't legally do in the UK anyway, you're probably going to find it's like quite diminishing returns. Like, the amount of force you have to physically put in essentially like a deadlift to cock the crossbow. You're probably going to want one that's a lower draw weight, so it's just more pleasant to keep reloading and shooting. Because obviously with the really heavy crossbows, it makes sense if you've got a winch mechanism on them. And I don't mean, like the looping thing over and pulling it, because cocking strings are a bit slow and annoying to use. But what I mean is like the windlass style design crossbows, where you can essentially have something built onto the stock. You quickly hook it on, winch it up, and then take the cables, and they sort of retract again. Or like when Mike had the old Barnet Commando 2, whatever it was, where actually the entire crossbow had like the cocking mechanism for a full size crossbow. Cheers, Mr. Wrighton. Again, yeah, because that's the thing. Like the thing with bow draw weights, as we've probably said before, and somebody like Rich in the comments, because he shoots really heavy bows, would probably be very good to tell you about this. A lot of the time, it's just going to depend on the bow length plus the draw weight, because typically, the bigger your bow length is, you don't need as much draw weight to actually make an arrow fly. Yeah, so like things like with takedown bows and stuff like that, 40-pound draw weight on a decent size, like recurve bow or whatever, or flat bow or whatever, they tend to actually shoot an arrow pretty fast out of them. Whereas when you get pistol crossbows, that's the problem with pistol crossbows, because they've got the really short prods. You need a really heavy draw weight to kind of overcome the shortness of the prod. So again, it's like the diminishing returns thing, that the ideally a bow being, I guess a bow's length is a bit like a rifle's barrel length. The more you cut the barrel down, the more problems you have with velocity of the round coming out. So that's why you can get those crazy guns, like what was it, like the 7.62 NATO little PDW size guns that like HK and that made at one point, but they're basically horrible to fire apparently, because they like essentially suppress you, no, not suppress, sort of like concuss you, because of how, even with hearing protection apparently, because the barrel is still so close to your face and there's so much unburnt sort of smokeless coming out the end of the barrel, that it basically is like a flashbang going off in your face apparently when you're shooting it every time. And you obviously don't get all the velocity out of the bullet because of the fact that the it's not properly combusting inside the barrel. Yeah, Rich, again, like that's what I was saying, it's because since I've played about with loads of bows, like the 40-pound bow, I think it was 105, because I don't think I ever managed to get an 80-pound prod for the full size bows. 105 pound, 120 pound, 150 pound, 175 pounds. I definitely preferred the bows that were about 100 pounds in draw weight, in terms of easy enough to cock, and if I let friends use it who didn't have much experience using crossbows, I think all of those could cock it just about, where a lot of them couldn't manage the 150 or 175-pound bows. And again, it still shoots the arrow pretty straight without too much drop. Split limbos in theory are better nightshade, but the good thing about the split limbs as well is you don't have anywhere near as much friction with them. Because yeah, with those crossbows like that, they work more like a traditional bow. So you don't have the thing where the string is being pulled up onto the like rail or the riser, whatever you want to call it, like that. With the split limbs, the string is actually in line with it because of the fact that, you know, it's working like that, if that makes sense. Yeah, less string damage and less wasted from the friction. You have less wasted velocity on the string slowing down before it launches the arrow. Yeah, that annoyingly, because this is a live stream, I can't pick it up, but it's a DIAC 84, and DIAC is in the sense it's been fired once and it has no rocket in it. So it's a plastic and metal tube. But yeah, if you have a question, ask a question. But yeah, you wouldn't need as much rail loop, and you wouldn't need to replace the string as often. If I remember weirdly as well, I have a weird feeling I found those quite easy to, for what they were, the split limb ones, I have a feeling they were quite easy to string as well, where you get like the, you know, like lower, like the training string or whatever you want to call it, like the stringing string. I don't know what the proper word for it is, but you know, like where you basically get the bow, then you've got a string that you can pull back, like a stringer, I guess we normally call it, don't we? And it's like the one where you then thread the other string through and then cock that because it's already, you know, it's already pulled the thing back enough. Stringing aid, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Rich. Because that's what I was saying. I think when I had my chrono working properly, I did a few tests like that, and I've seen other people do tests like that. And Mike did some, didn't he, where he tested different bows, but like how they could knock down like a weighted target or whatever. And yeah, it's like you said, it's really diminishing returns. That once you get to a certain point, for every extra bit of, you know, poundage or whatever you add to, you know, every 20 to 50 pounds of draw weight or whatever, you're basically, yeah, just making it much harder on you to cock, and the parts wear out faster. Um, Again, I have not. Sadly, I don't have the range to test crossbows at that sort of range, but I would imagine it would easily go over 100 yards fairly accurately with a 90-pound split limb. Again, it's think of what, like the person was saying, a decent Samick takedown bow would do. You know, like one of those. You know, if you think of like a good regular takedown bow with maybe half the power of that crossbow, what would that fire an arrow accurately at if you're actually good at grouping arrows? Because it's not going to be too different, at least because obviously with a crossbow you can aim upwards like that if you shoot at longer ranges. It's more the grouping. That sounds very interesting, powerful, Rich. But yeah, the problem is, Monkey Gamer. Where do I buy most of my surplus? A lot of the time it was on eBay, just because you can find loads of surplus providers on eBay. I've used a couple of sites and physical surplus stores before, but a lot of the time I just look on eBay because people from all around the world can just list stuff on there. Um, but yeah, it really depends, because obviously if you live in a really rural area, and especially if you have like farmland near you and the farmer is good and lets you shoot on their land, or just is never around, like, so I'm not legally condoning that. I'm just saying if you live somewhere where the landowner is never around and nobody's going to report you, you could probably shoot on that land really easily. But the point is, for me, is like there's nowhere near me where that I know somebody that, like, saying I don't know them personally, but I've seen them doing it. I know there's one person near me that does go onto some local land, which he doesn't have permission to do, and does shoot a bow. And I don't think he's hurting anyone, but I know there are people that have snitched on him. Whether or not anything's come of that, I haven't seen him do it in ages, so I reckon he must have been told by the police to stop. But yeah, like I say, I mean, it depends. If you're in a really rural area, nobody's going to bat an eye at you probably shooting a bow in a field, as long as there's not livestock around and you're not hurting anybody. Yeah, well, this is the thing I was making a video about yesterday, is all the problems I've had recently of people not being notified I'm doing videos, or only notified like for every 1 in 5 videos I do. Ah, that's a good idea, Mr. Wright. And if, yeah, sadly I don't live near the coast, but yeah, because at least if you're shooting into the cliff, you're not going to hit anybody, are you? like it's a good backstop in a way. I think a lot of the times with stuff like that, it's going to also depend on what sort of people are around you. Because if there's decent people around you, they're not going to be worried about somebody shooting a bow, are they? The only quarry near me, like that's actually near me, is one that people are working in all the time. To even go on there without trespassing, like, because my dad does it, he's filled out the paperwork. You have to fill out all the legal disclaimers to go on their land and have to wear a high vis while you're there and that sort of thing. So yeah, I doubt they'd let you in to shoot. Like, it's one of those places that, you know, people climb over the fence a lot and either get caught or not caught doing stuff there. A lot of time I think it's just the kids there smoke weed when they're, you know, going over it. But it's a bit of a different thing, isn't it? Vaulting over fences to a quarry with a crossbow on your back. But yeah, but like I said, it's that's the sort of thing, isn't it, where you want someone with a really good back to sort of stop, like the natural one. It's like where you see a lot of like gun ranges have like the big mounded sort of hills, don't they, where they shoot into the hill. Because even if somebody's shooting really high up, they're going to struggle to get an angle where they're not going to go into all the earth that's there. Yeah, Nightshade. Yeah, like I was saying, it's again, it's I think the difference between if it's a local person you know that owns it or it's like a disused one, as opposed, isn't it, to one where it's like a company owns it which just doesn't care. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me, Rich. Again, it's like one of those things. Weirdly, if I, funnily enough, because I'm wearing the shirt, it's like if I'm going to say when, because otherwise it's too depressing. But when I save up enough money and eventually get an ROC post, that's one of the things there where I'm hoping, because a lot of those are in the middle of nowhere, the ones that have survived, because nobody's obviously built houses over them. That would be the perfect place if you bought an ROC post with the freehold lands there, that you either, the farmer next door would probably let you shoot on their land if you're not going to cause any issues to them, or you might be able to buy up some land near it. Because at least there, you know, you're already kind of in the middle of nowhere. So if you have a crossbow in your ROC post or whatever, it's not like you're going into a big urban area as soon as you out your hatch, you're already into somebody's field. Oh yeah, that sounds annoying, Nightshade, stuff like that. Like people who just can't mind their own business. Yeah. Mixing chemicals together doesn't sound like a good idea, and it doesn't sound like something you should be bringing up on the stream. I don't know what mixing that particular thing actually does, but don't talk about mixing chemicals even as a joke on here, because you never know if somebody will do it by accident, not realizing what it will do, or if somebody thinks you're giving like terrorist instructions. Which one's hexamine? Don't think I've ever played with that, but I've never really played with too many chemicals. Useful in making pharmaceuticals. Oh, that sounds a fun bit of it. But yeah, I've never used it personally. Oh, so it's what? It's one of those things that's got a really good actual proper use for it. It's getting banned because of overreach then. But anyway, I won't be on too much longer because I think I've been on about an hour now, haven't I? Oh, 50 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing as long a stream today, but it was actually good. It sent it out to people again, so I appreciate that. And obviously, I really appreciate anybody that's donated because, again, I can use it towards gas masks or stuff like this. Yeah, see everybody then. Might as well call it a day now for the stream, and then that way I can get on, stuff I need to do. So tomorrow I am going to. There's a video that somebody suggested to me, and if I can get the stuff together to film it easily, I'll film it tomorrow and hopefully get it up within the next couple of days. But that might not be a short. Oh, it won't be a short for this video when I get it done. That'll be a slightly longer one. But yeah, there's some more shorts as well I've got planned on filming at some point. It's just, a case of as and when I get around to doing them, uploading them, because as we said, it seems at the moment I need to make shorts for YouTube to actually send people my videos. Right, see everybody. Right, have a good day, and thank you massively to anybody that donated as well. I do appreciate that. Right, see you later. Oh, thank you.